you realize like lots of Jews oppose the state of Israel because of like what they do, right?
So the majority of American ones.
Wait. So it's okay to be anti-Semitic as long as other Jews believe. As long as other
how is
Jews
it anti-Semitic? That's my question. That's my question.
Stop.
MTG isn't a populist. She's a dumb idiot who believes in Jewish space lasers.
They didn't need a conviction to have their payments limited, and that's what Ilhan Omar was against. I don't think that's sussy at all, is it? It might be unpopular.
No, I literally agree with her on that. It was just that, like,
So why did you use an example of her being sussy?
I'm not using it as an example of being her sussy. I know that you're stuck in such a narrative that it's always like team A, team B, but I started this off with fuck the GOP, and if I need you to hear this the other way, fuck Labor Party and fuck Democrats too.
But all the arguments we've made have been about Boebert and MTG.
Wait. Should the GOP remove fringe candidates like Boebert and MTG from the party? We're going to start in the top left-hand corner with Sparky.
Of course they shouldn't be forced to remove from the GOP. You want to call them fringe or duly elected representatives. I think the premise itself is kind of ridiculous. It's just like saying, should we get rid of Ilhan Omar, AOC, Tlaib, the entire freaking squad because they're fringe and they're not the establishment Democrats? No, I think that's stupid. Look, these are duly elected representatives. You can like them, love them, you can hate them. It doesn't matter. They were elected by their constituents. You can either beat them on the field of the with the election, or you can just get used to them. Americans have this tendency to vote in people that they want, and well, I mean, look, they're duly elected, so suck it up, Buttercup. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene has done a wonderful deal by almost completely ending roll call votes in Congress because she got kicked off of her what are they, the committees and stuff. So I think that's a great thing because now we're forcing our representatives to actually put their name down and vote for each individual bill. Our representative democracy is supposed to be, our constitutional republic is supposed to be slow and arduous. That is the way Congress is supposed to be. And you know what? I'll tip my hat to her. Good for her.
Okay, are you going to respond to Parker's question, or do you want to move on? Because this is the last opportunity you'll have to.
What was the question? I'm sorry. I put it in the side chat. I put it in the.
Okay,
in
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay, throw it over to Fabian.
Yeah. So before I get into this topic, I just want to say, fuck the GOP. I don't really care about them. They're a bunch of neocon corporate shills that promise low taxes and give us 2% lower taxes and just as much spending as Democrats. So we get debt no matter who we fucking vote for. We get wars no matter who we vote for. And they supposedly promise deregulation. And what we get is new forms of regulation that helps out their corporate buddies. That being said, we're talking about Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. What I find really interesting and weird about this is that the left doesn't like them because they're right-wing populists. And I want to make a call to the left and say right-wing populism isn't as bad as you think. And the reason I say that is because populism as an ideology is very simple, right? There are the elites and then there are the people, and everything that I don't like is the elites, and everything that we do like is, the people, et cetera, et cetera. But what populism really represents is it represents, and it has throughout history, an awakening of people realizing that the entire system is bullshit. And I think this is a great opportunity to progressives, to socialists, to communists, to anarchists, to libertarians, to constitutional conservatives, all of them that have been preaching that this system is bullshit, and to see that these are converts ready to accept things. And so, should the GOP get rid of these two people? If they know what's good for them, probably. But the fact of the matter is that I think it's already too late. I think if you look at politics right now, there's already an awakening on the right wing in Western liberal democracies, and these are the canaries in the coal mine of right wing populism to a movement that's gonna be something. I don't know what it is yet because you never can really predict what populism will turn into, but it will definitely be monumental.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Sprout.
All right, so I may not always agree with what Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene say. I don't live in their district. I didn't vote for them. The people who live in their district voted for them. They voted for them to go into Congress, and they got to Congress. Should they be removed for the party? No. And to any Democrats that say they should, then I'm going to ask you if you're willing to remove AOC. Are you willing to remove Ilhan Omar? I can pull up plenty of things as to why you should remove these people, including Ilhan Omar referring to 9/11 as something happened. All right, so we can go as far down this road as you want to, but when we're talking about fringe candidates, and you want us to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, but aren't willing to talk about AOC and Ilhan Omar, seems a little biased to me. So no, may not always agree with what they say, but they were elected by their district and they were duly elected. So they should remain in Congress. They should remain in their party, and until they're beaten an election, they're gonna have another election come soon, and let's see how that election turns out. And that's the way to kick somebody out of Congress.
Can I ask you a question, Sprout?
Yeah.
What do you think happened on 9/11?
I think that terrorists got into an airplane and smashed into the Twin Towers.
So something did happen.
But to reduce it to that is extremely disrespectful to actually what happened. To reduce it to somebody did something.
So did something happen?
A horrific event happened.
I'm
That should not be reduced to something.
I'm just
Are
fucking with
we
you. Loner
using
box.
language?
Loner box.
Yeah, I guess like one of the to name one problem with like right wing populism is it seems to put you in this very reducing it to elites and the people, which puts you in a very kind of like comfortable zone where like you get to come up with phrases like left wing neoliberals, where apparently centrist Democrats, Joe Biden, the Justice Democrats, Antifa, George Soros, the CEOs of Twitter, socialists, tanky socialists all get to fall under the same umbrella. It's very convenient where like everything you don't like comes from like the same group. I don't know. But when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Boebert, I don't know how it works in the US. So, I mean, in the UK, it's actually quite like people will deselect MPs to make political points. I don't know if they should really do that. I mean, they're elected, but it's definitely in their interest to distance themselves from those two people as much as possible, right? Because I think Republicans are starting to learn that black and other ethnic minority voters are a lot more right-leaning than people expected. The thing that puts them off the Republican Party is that they associate the Republican Party with racism. And I feel like Marjorie Taylor Greene and I don't know much about Boebert, but I imagine the two of them have like quite a bit to do with that.
Mythic.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And first of all, the precedent that would be set by removing, I don't know by what, I guess it's censure, or I guess it would be by other mechanisms indicting them. What the fuck is it called when you get a president out of there? The term is escaping me. I have panel brain right now. Impeach. Thank you so much. When they could be impeached and removed from their seats, I think that would set a dangerous precedent for any politician that becomes volatile, becomes polarizing. I don't think that's a good precedent that we should set forth. I think that they could, if they're toxic, if they're whatever, you pull them off of committees and you don't do anything. But I 100% agree with Lonerbox. Marjorie Taylor Greene and politicians of that ilk, Lauren Boebert, are just they're part of a schizoid duopoly where people don't feel like they're represented, so they go for these weirdo populist type conspiracy type people espousing populist rhetoric just out of frustration, and they appeal to the everyman in a way that the actual the bean counters and the neolibs don't. So there's always going to be a lane for that in politics. I think it's interesting right now in the duopoly. That means that they have to be absorbed into a big, otherwise semi-rational political apparatus instead of like a fringe third party, a minority third party. But my official take is I think they're fucking morons and it's hilarious. And just for lulz, they should be kept on.
Parker?
I completely agree with Lonerbox and Mythic. I definitely think that they, like, as advice, like, they probably should distance themselves from those two candidates, but obviously they were elected, so I think the best way to get it out was if those specific districts did that, so I wouldn't, like, say force kick them out or whatnot.
Stardust?
Yep. So, I guess in response to what Scott was saying, MTG isn't a populist. She's a dumb fuck idiot who believes in Jewish space lasers. So the question, that being said, the question is whether the GOP should find other people to take their places. If I were the GOP, I probably would. But I also think it's hilarious that they're willing to tank their public image for one person who believes that there are Jewish space lasers and another person who has suggested another congresswoman is a terrorist. Yeah.
And Tiberius.
Anyway, I started blasting. Sorry, had to unmute there. Okay, so the long story short here is that I thoroughly encourage both parties to distance themselves from the radical wings of their parties. I'm not a centrist by any measure, but on the other side of that is that I do believe in the power of disassociation to say, you know what? We're not these people and we don't support what they do. That's not us. Yeah, I actually am I am fully in favor of distancing the Republican Party from MTG and Lauren Boebert. MTG, I'm tired of hearing about the space laser memes because they're real. She keeps talking about them. She keeps thinking that this is real. And as a Republican, I don't want to be associated in any way, shape, or form. I think it degrades the party. Boebert, I respect her radical commitment to 2A, but when you're taking photos with your kids and you gave them an AR-15 and the gun's bigger than them, it doesn't make you look like a sane, decent parent. It makes you look like a gun. So fuck this person. On the other side of that is that, you know what? I think one of the worst things the Democratic Party ever did was make it where their super delegates don't get a vote until like the third round. I loved what they did in 2016 where they're like, you know what? That Bernie Sanders guy, he's not a real Democrat. He's a hanger-on. We're going to put up Hillary because that's the person we want. Whether you like it or not, whether it's about the law or she lost, is that the Democrats should be able to say who is worthy of being a party member, and so should the Republicans. And I would very much encourage both parties to actually grow a pair and fucking say, we like these people and we don't like these people and we will not associate.
Okay. And with that, does anybody want to start us off? This will be probably our shortest topic of the night, seeing as I don't want to go past midnight.
Yeah, I'll start us off. So,
okay.
They don't. I'm not saying the Republican Party has to put them on committees. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that they don't deserve to be kicked out of the parties. They don't deserve to lose their seat. They're duly elected representatives. And the funny thing is, it seems to be the people who voted Democrat here are all for the Republican Party distancing themselves from these people, but don't even look at distancing themselves from the fringe candidates that they have, from AOC and Ilhan Omar. In fact, they're embraced with open arms. And so it's kind of hilarious to watch this happen. I'm not saying the Democratic Party should distance themselves from AOC and Ilhan Omar. I'm not a Democrat. You guys do what you want. But I'm also sitting here saying you guys are telling us what to do, but you guys aren't looking in the mirror and realizing, oh shit, we have the same exact problem. So I don't know, maybe look in the mirror and realize you have the same exact problem, realize it's the same on both sides, and then maybe understand that, oh, okay, so if we're going to do this, then we should do this too. So, I don't know.
Sprout, wait, what do you mean it's the same on both sides?
Huh?
What do you mean it's the same on both sides? Are you comparing like MTG and them to like
I'm comparing MTG and Boebert to Ilhan Omar and AOC.
How can you make that comparison?
Omar is an open anti-Semite, so yeah, there
Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite.
How is she an anti-Semite? Just out of interest.
Yeah.
I'm talking as an outsider.
Well, let's look it up. We'll look up all the examples. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Go piece by piece.
How about the Benjamins, right?
I mean, if you make a
no, we know
Ilhan Omar,
anti-Semitism.
Ilhan, I mean, like, I fucking hate all politicians, so I'm not sure I have a dog in this fight. But Ilhan Omar has done a couple of things that are sus. She makes comments from time to time, and I think more often than not they get taken out of context. But one of the things that she did was when she was in Michigan, in the state senate, I believe, she was like one of two people that voted, that refused to vote for a bill that would, that did vote for a bill that would give insurance claims to terrorists' families, so that they could use their life insurance policy even if they committed acts of terrorism. Like, she's done some pretty spicy shit. And whether or not you agree with that politically, right, it's definitely representative of someone that is on the fringe of what you might consider like a normal Democrat, right? And I think that's like a fair point to say, like, hey, this person is not necessarily representative of the DNC's platform.
Oh, okay. Well, then you
I just
acknowledge
want to
that
ask you
squad
about
is just different than them too. Like, you would say that it's just different orders of magnitude, right?
I mean, I
So,
started this off with,
I mean, you've already mentioned the thing about insurance claims for terrorists, but I think, wasn't it? I'm just cursory glancing. I could be wrong. It was suspected terrorists, wasn't it?
I'd have to look at the bill again. It's been a long time since I've talked about it. Because
Yeah, I mean, it says beneficiaries of suspected terrorists, which, but a lot of people get wrongfully suspected of terrorism.
Yeah, again, like I said, like but again, it wasn't. It's not a matter of whether or not she was right or wrong. I'm not making a claim about what is right and wrong. I'm saying that, like, she has done things that were, in terms of her voting record, that were wild things that might be widely supported by the Democrats. Right? She would vote against them because she's very clearly further left or further on some issues than the DNC. So if the question, if the regards to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert are about their ideas and not necessarily about their behavior, at least in terms of their ideas being fringe or different, you could make the same one-to-one comparison about other progressive Democrats just as easily as you could about, like, America First populist Republican candidates or senators or House Representative members.
I'm just going to ask you about this specific one, though, because I think the amendment which Ilhan was against was that the amendment would mean that it doesn't require a terrorist conviction in order to limit payments. So basically, they didn't need a conviction to have their payments limited, and that's what Ilhan Omar was against. I don't think that's sussy at all, is it? It might be unpopular.
No, I literally agree with her on that. It was just that, like,
why did you use an example of her being sussy?
I'm not using it as an example of being her sussy. I know that you're stuck in such a narrative that it's always like team A, team B, but I started this off with fuck the GOP. And if I need you to hear this the other way, fuck Labor Party and fuck Democrats too.
But all the arguments we've made have been about Boebert and MTG.
Wait. Okay, 1 second. There was a lot of people talking at the same time. I'm gonna throw it to Star, who hasn't talked during this topic yet. Star.
I feel like a lot of the arguments, at least that I made, and it may just be an oversight on my end, but a lot of the arguments that I made regarding this were about the specifically very outrageous things that have been said by both of these candidates. If there are equally outrageous things and equally, like, really bad public image things that have happened from other candidates, sure, but I am just talking from a public image standpoint. I have never seen two people who have just absolutely fumbled so badly. So
I also just think it's like, because I asked for, I acknowledged, Fabian, that you're not like a Republican, whatever. I acknowledge that. It's just that I asked for an example of Ilhan Omar's anti-Semitism, and that was the first example. It didn't fly to me. It doesn't seem to fly to you either. I just want to see if there are any others, because, I mean, we know from Boebert there was the Jihad Squad. So, I mean, okay. Where's I need the equivalent.
Or the implication, implying that Ilhan Omar would blow up like an escalator or something. Was it an escalator?
That's what he just said. He said the Jihad Squad. It was a joke she told, and she didn't know she was on camera, and people got really mad about it. And
I just want to know where that's what I want. I want the equivalent of that coming from Ilhan Omar. Something
it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins.
What is you can't just say it's all about the Benjamins. You said that twice.
It's referring to a tweet that she said in response to something Israel was doing, and she retorted with, "It's all about the Benjamins. It is a trope. It is a Jewish trope. Look, it's you can make excuse for it all you want. She has apologized. No."
It's
Well,
a double
Americans-
entendre, though. You're comparing a double entendre to Jihad
Yeah.
Squad, which is
Okay.
unambiguous.
Give me 1 second. So
That is laser
in the-
focused.
in-
You would
in
need a
the
lot more
midst-
to back that up, Eric Sparky.
So-
Yeah.
Almost like
Oh,
Jewish
Omar
space
laser
lasers.
said on. Give me 1 second.
Okay, stop.
guys.
Okay,
Give
stop.
me
Okay,
1
guys.
second.
Everybody, shut the fuck up. Okay, I can't hear myself think. You're all talking at the same time.
Apologize for this shit before.
Okay, got you. A sprout is this? Sprout a kiss. Sorry.
Yeah, so Omar said on Twitter, if you want to hear something absolutely horrific, she said on Twitter, Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel.
True.
That was on Twitter.
Anti-Semite.
Is Israel representative of?
Out
I'm not trying to like split hairs here, but is Israel representative of all Jews?
It is the Jewish state of
Israel is a Jewish state.
That's not what we asked, though, right? Are they
Israel
representative
is
of like?
Israel is the only Jewish state.
Okay, but you realize like lots of Jews oppose the state of Israel because of like what they do, right?
The majority of American ones.
Wait. So it's okay to be anti-Semitic as long as other Jews believe. As long as
how
other
is
Jews
it
believe.
anti-Semitic? That's
conflating
my
it.
question. That's my question.
Stop. Y'all
I've got a
yelling over
Jewish
each other.
friend.
Yep. Good for you, Sparky. Okay. I'm sorry. Fuck. I heard something that I thought was bigoted, so I immediately just threw it at Sparky. Reflex.
Yeah, fuck you, Dylan. That's fucked up, man. I have never said
funny.
anything,
It's the same-
on your fucking channel or even mine.
It's the same
And you
argument.
just
It's the same
automatically-
argument.
Wait.
It's the same exact
Sparky. You famously put a gun to your head after you said, "Hey, if I had to have sex with trans people," and you took an actual gun, put it to your head on stream, and said, "This is if I had to have sex with trans people." Don't pretend you've never said anything that could be construed as bigoted before.
Fuck
Okay?
off, Dylan.
Okay, that's your response. Got it. Okay, Sprout, you were saying something. I just want to make sure you get to finish your point.
So,
I'll write
yeah.
down Stardust and Fabian.
I'm saying it's the same argument when you say that there's other people who are Jewish that are against Israel. It's the same argument as I have a Jewish friend. It's the exact same argument. This is anti-Semitic at its core, and I will quote it again just in case you didn't hear it right the first time.
I'm reading it right now. It's okay.
Israel
Like, on my
has
screen as well.
hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. If that's not anti-Semitic, I'm gonna need you to point out something that is.
What did she say after? She
Are
said
they
Gaza,
talking about the
Palestine, and
government or
Israel.
the people?
She said
Yeah.
Gaza, Palestine, Israel. She's talking about the actions of the Israeli government.
Yes,
which
like you're
have
conflating
been described as war
anti-Semitism
crimes.
with
So,
anti-Zionism.
State of Israel, yeah, anti-Zionism. as
She
well,
was
anti-Zionism.
this quote was in her tweet and it hypnotized the world. So you're saying that that's not about Jewish people? Israel has hypnotized the world? No,
Israel,
not about Jewish
state
people.
of Israel.
The state of
It
Israel, yeah.
involves
So
Jewish
you're
people. It is not a
separating-
direct attack
separating-
of the faith of Judaism. That's a
If I-
different
if I-
thing.
Separate the government from the people. Is that crazy of a concept?
You do know
No,
that is actually a Jewish
it's not an
trope, right?
insane. It's not an insane concept. What I am saying is that Israel has hypnotized the world. A huge part of anti-Semitism is that the Jews run the world. So you're sitting here and telling me that saying that Israel hypnotized the world isn't anti-Semitic?
No, because
they're-
when she talks about hypnotizing the world, when she talks about
Versus
hypnotizing the
people, there's a
world,
difference.
More. Okay, please, one person at a time. I didn't get to hear anything. Stardust, could you say what you said?
yeah, okay. When she talks about hypnotizing the world, I think she's specifically talking about the governments of other nations, right?
Okay. If that's not enough for you, right? So Glenn Greenwald said, equating Omar and Tlaib's criticism to Israel to Steve King's long defense of white supremacy is obscene. In the U.S., we're allowed to criticize our own government, certainly foreign governments. The GOP House leaders' priorities are warped. In response to Greenwald's post, Ilhan Omar tweeted, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby."
Okay.
Okay.
Look,
Yeah,
she
because-
talks
If I,
there's a lot of
if
financial
I,
interest
hey,
between America
shut
and
up!
Israel.
My turn.
You can't
Okay,
accept
so sorry.
It was your turn earlier.
Didn't Sparky say that earlier?
Sparky, you were trying to say something?
Look, she talks in
Maybe not see
anti-Semitic
it.
tropes. If you can't comprehend that, maybe that's a blind spot for you. I grew up being called those kind of things. It's okay, man. I don't really care. It doesn't hurt me. But yeah, no, they talk in tropes all the time. And if it was anyone else, you would be bending over backwards to try to cancel them. Fuck right off.
I would not.
This is so stupid. My
This is
God.
actually what I think what I've demonstrated here, despite MTG saying Jewish space lasers. I'm just saying from a public image perspective. Wait a minute, let me finish. Let me finish. Okay, other people talk here. Okay, so despite her saying Jewish space lasers, I'm saying that's hilarious. If they want to keep her there, then they can keep her there. If from a public image perspective, I would maybe take her off. However, when it's this Ilhan Omar, I'm sure she said things that are like and you know I don't agree with her on everything either, but I don't think her criticizing Israel as a state is necessarily indicative of her being anti-Semitic. If I criticize like Modi from India, does that mean that I'm like being racist against Indian people? I don't think so, right? If I'm criticizing the Indian government for having tons of corruption in it, I don't think I'm calling like the entire nation or being racist against all those people. She's specifically talking about like or at least from what I can tell, she's talking about the state of Israel, the government, and how they've interacted with the rest of the world.
Okay, so I mean, to go further into this, if you want to go further into this, we can do that.
Sprout, when you finish, I want to make sure that people know that Fabian's been waiting a while, so I want to make sure Fabian gets to talk. I got other people on the list too, like Ty. Okay. And
this will be
Parker.
This will be the last part. So if we want to go further into this, right? So we can keep going down this rabbit hole since it's not wanted to be considered anti-Semitism. All right. So when asked to explain by a reporter where the money she was referring to came from, Omar retweeted AIPAC. And Omar's spokesman said the tweets speak for themselves. So, I mean, again, if that's not anti-Semitism, please inform me on what is, because I am drastically off.
Are they talking about the people or the government?
So
I'm
we need
to be clear about this before we have this conversation.
Really, I'm just gonna
Okay, so let me wait 1 second. I just want to clarify for chat. AIPIC is a pro-Israel PAC active in the United States, because a lot of people don't know what that is. Okay,
yeah, they say wild shit like we could have any politician. I can write something on a napkin and they'll do it. It's pretty funny.
Bro, was that an anti-Semitic joke just there? Sorry.
Oh, I'll make anti-Semitic jokes. I don't give a fuck. I'll make jokes about everything.
Do it.
But anyways, well, I guess we'll do that one. I guess.
Don't, Fabian, please, for the love of God, don't do that on my stream again, or I'm gonna kick you.
Sorry, I just had some hand lotion. I had to get it in my hands.
Don't bullshit.
Anyways, so no, what I'm saying here is, I think what we really have here, and this is something I'm kind of stealing from Dave Smith, is a hierarchy of like offense problem. Like you have a bunch of left wingers on this debate topic, right? Doing what they can to defend the squad, right? And then you have right wingers being like, she's an anti-Semite, as like a distraction from the fucked up shit Marjorie Taylor Greene says, right? And they say some hilarious shit from time to time, and then they say some crazy shit. And again, I think we're losing the forest through the trees, right? Who gives a fuck about some bad joke from Marjorie Taylor Greene or Boebert or Ilhan Omar when like we're literally involved in wars? Like we're bombing children and nobody gives a fuck about this shit. Like children are pissing and shitting themselves to death in Yemen and we're not doing shit about it. In fact, we're helping make it worse. Right? Like our tax dollars, because of the Ukraine situation, we just passed a $1.5 trillion spending bill full of fucking pork for Democrats and Republicans. It's like 7% higher than the budget from last year, despite the fact that we have inflation occurring. Right. And instead we argue back and forth about like, oh, this person's fringe or this. You should be seeing that the reason these people exist is because this fucking system isn't working for a lot of people and people are starting to wake up. That's why Bernie Sanders was popular. That's why left-wing populism was on the rise. And that's why right-wing populism is on the rise. And what we should be doing is trying to talk to those people and bring them into constructive places of ideologies that are better, like libertarianism.
Yeah, broadly speaking, when we're talking about the first of all, I don't understand what this panel is doing now. Are we talking about reasons why Ilhan Omar and Lauren Boebert MTG should be removed? Because that's what it sounds like we're doing. Sounds like we're contextualizing. Yes, this other person is just as bad. So, but they should both stay. So I don't understand what the purpose is. But to differentiate between the two broadly, one person making what could be described uncharitably as an anti-Semitic joke, or maybe one with more dog whistles attached to it is different than the line of commentary that Lauren Boebert and MTJ traffic, and specifically Boebert says that Omar and other politicians are full-time propagandists for state-sponsored terrorism. They said they were politicians with suicides belts strapped to their body. On another date, she called them a full-time propagandist for Hamas. Later on, she said that Rashida Tlaib and Omar need to register as foreign agents. On June 8th, she called Representative Omar an honorary member of Hamas. And then at a later time, again, called them terrorist sympathizers. So it's a part of a thing preying upon Muslim tropes or anti-Muslim rhetoric in the United States, which has been on the rise since after 9/11. The type of anti-Semitism in America has been changed after 9/11, where after which we sort of cited where the Republicans who were previously more prone to say anti-Semitic stuff has then realigned with Israel as a sort of 51st state for the United States. So that the type of anti-Semitism has changed. So those comments aren't as pertinent as the anti-Muslim ones, which are in vein of the very real animus that Muslim people in America face, especially in the context of like the Muslim ban and other stuff like that. So it's not tit for tat.
I'm gonna ask you a question. All right. So who is running Palestine right now?
Like which part? Like the West Bank or the Gaza Strip?
The Gaza Strip. Who's running the Gaza Strip?
Okay.
So that's a part of Palestine, right? Not all of Palestine.
Okay. It's the majority that's attacking Israel. So who's running the Gaza Strip?
Gaza Strip is run by Hamas, isn't it?
And which congresswoman supports Palestine in their efforts against Israel?
Well, isn't it more like the liberation of the Palestinian people? Like, there's a very clear aim with being pro-Palestine is different from being pro-Israel.
I'm pro-Palestine. Am I Hamas?
Omar has specifically said that she wants Palestine to rule the entire area.
She wants death to the Israeli state. She doesn't want the Jewish state to exist.
So the Israel state. So you just admitted that it's about this government, right? The state of Israel.
The Jewish state.
They said the Jewish state. That's not what they said.
I would like
a
the death
citation
of all
for that.
states.
You guys are just openly. If Donald Trump said something as crazy as this, you guys would be flipping over backwards trying to say impeach him because he said this. But when it's one of your own people, it's like, oh God. We need to come up with any excuse we can as to.
Are you really going to use that?
Can I just say I would not impeach him for speech?
You're using this to derail the conversation.
Stop! You're all talking at the same time, okay? Tiberius has been waiting, so I'm going to throw it over to Tiberius.
Appreciate it. Had to unmute again. So there's a level here where I can pick straws, but the problem is I really don't want to. There's a lot of unsavory characters within American politics, and the will to disown anybody for almost any reason is just not there. Like we have censures, but we censure our own party for not towing the line. We can talk about the Democrats hitting cinema, whether you like that or not. Like literally, it is more authoritarian in the regards that we're hitting people for not speaking their mind, but we're actually hitting people for just not falling out with an agenda. That actually is very concerning for me, because the way that MTG goes about doing certain things, the way that Illy and Omar goes about doing certain things, I can say that maybe they're just idiots. I can say that maybe I can make some excuse for them in this way or the other. Excuse me. I cannot talk today. But here's the reality. At what point do you just get to say, hey, I don't like being associated with it. As a Republican or as a Democrat, I don't approve of this. I don't want to be associated with this. There's power in that. There really is. And the fact that either political party is refusing to do that in any kind of way, except for like a rare circumstances, is very concerning to me overall. The one thing that I actually have to agree with Scott on is that populism's on the rise. We're going to have to accept that there's going to be even more fucking idiots and even more people that are going to say cringe shit or ideological stuff that doesn't really make sense in the real world. And we have to figure out how to handle that, because the American people are not happy. And we need to channel that into something constructive, because these people are how you get actual fascists and actual communists into power. We have to be very careful of who we're dealing with them and how we're dealing with them.
There's almost no differentiation between the Republicans and Democrats now in effective policy. The only differences are certain fucking wedge issues. So people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert are going to become the norm. They're going to be people who rile up and exacerbate people along moral calamities and stuff like that. They're going to go every novel conspiracy theory is now going to launch a new politician. That's the wave now. That's what it's going to be. So I think that it's just like, unless we have a parliamentary system, proportional representation, get rid of the electoral college, and admit that there's a wider spectrum of political thought that is not being served by the duopoly, dealing with these people in the two-party system is going to become the norm, and there's going to be way more of them coming. They're very popular, and they're gaffe machines. It just works in the comment as content policy setting in the Twitter sphere. It just works right now. So they're gonna be an inevitability.
Destroy the two-party system tomorrow. I don't care.
Oh, fuck this. No. Like, you have me on the first part, the second part just kills me. Like, what we have seen throughout parliamentary systems, STV voting and whatnot, is that it is an open platform to basically metabolize your extremists. You will see a radical right-wing party and a radical left-wing party if you get rid of the two-party system.
Yeah, you
Fuck
would.
that shit.
You would.
No, I don't really want to see the David Duke party. No, thank you. I will happily.
You just want them as Republicans. You just want the David Duke.
I don't want. No, I want them to not have a. No, I don't want them to have a home.
Was a Democrat for a portion too, there, pal.
I don't like. I don't give a shit about that. No, I don't want extremists to have a fucking voice. That's what I don't.
They do. They always.
Yeah,
will.
they have one, and the reason why they do is not because the political system is platforming them as much as it is what they are saying is resonating with people because the system's kind of fucked up. It's kind of broken, right? So we need people who are competent, who are sensible to actually make effective changes. And we're not going to do that when we keep seeing both of our parties keep caressing to the most radical fucking elements because they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand a fucking thing 90% of the time. They're just angry and they're pissed off and they're saying the things that their voters want them to say, but it's not constructive. It is destructive.
True.
The best way to walk back from something, say de-align from them, right? The best way to de-align is to allow their little 2-3% party that's like a nothing burger just be a separate thing that they can form a coalition with on a certain thing in a much broader in a very definitive way. A parliamentary system would allow them to de-brainworm the Democrats, who would then properly the Republicans would effectively then become the neoliberals. The weirdo ethno-state people would become their own little minority, like a Christian right type of party. And you're right, there would be a little commie party. There would be, but me as a communist, I think that's kind of based.
I don't know that it's great for us to have extremists forming, I guess, organizing in a way that they can get more power, I feel, especially when those extremists are people who believe in Jewish space lasers or people who could quite literally be like, I don't know, like I don't like the idea of that. We should be able to distance ourselves from the more extreme people in our parties, and I'll very happily do that as a more left-leaning person. But as far as it goes with MTG and Boebert, I mean, I'm not the GOP, but if I were the GOP, I would be distancing myself from them.